I know earlier this month, Governor Murphy allowed your houses of worship to be open to actually have followers inside. But I wanted to get what the current status was for each of you as regard to that, because I know some places decided to hold off letting people in until maybe July. So, Reverend Fortune, what is the current status? Are you letting people into the church inside currently?
Not at all. Not at all. Our church building is closed until further notice. One of the, if you want to say, tenets of our faith is that we believe in the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We understand and appreciate and listen to the voices of science. And the epidemiologists and the folks at the Center for Disease Control are telling us that this is not over and it's still dangerous. And we have, one or two microbiologists in our congregation that we like to listen to. And until there is a viable, accessible, workable vaccine and or treatment, we're not interested in having people back in our building. It's just, it's a danger to them, and we're just not going to do it.
Okay, thank you very much. Rabbi Weis, same question. Are worshipers allowed inside your building at this point?
So no, we're still closed as well. We have organized a reopening committee that's been working to create the protocols that are necessary before we feel it's safe enough to open up. It's been a huge challenge for us, as you can imagine. We are like my colleagues, a community of people that come together as community and trying to figure out new alternative ways to achieve community absent actually being together has been difficult and challenging. On the one hand, we have the amazing ability of technology to allow us to be together even when we're not. And while it may not be the same as being together intimately, it does afford us a different opportunity. I had a funeral not so very long ago that was 4 or 5 people at the cemetery and 75 people on Zoom from all over the world attending the funeral and being there to be part of this with the family. In opportunity to participate that wouldn't have existed, can't exist absent technology. So, there's a certain irony. We're doing our worship services online, and while I personally find it far less than satisfying because I like to hug people, there are more people in attendance than when we're open. And I've had a number of people ask me, when we come back together, will we continue to stream services? And the answer is yes. I don't think this genie's going back in the bottle.
All right, thank you very much. Reverend Francois, is your building open or closed for worshipers at this point?
Yeah, our building is still closed for worship. We are working through, we have a team of about 12 that are working through a plan, some policies and procedures, even operations guide on what returning to church, what returning to assembled life will look like. And as I've said before, we won't execute that plan until I am completely convinced or satisfied that we are able to keep folks safe. Our congregation is made up of seniors, many seniors. Maybe a third of our congregation is made up of seniors. 80% of our congregation is Black, and another 10% is brown. These are the communities that have been mostly impacted by the coronavirus because of underlying conditions or pre-existing conditions in the physical body and in our economic body that make us vulnerable to the virus. And so we are in no hurry to return to assembled life, although it is more underwhelming than being together, because we are people who are deeply rooted in touch and in embodied experiences. So it is not ideal, but our online engagement has really been a benefit to many in our congregation. We stream our services online every day of the week. We have some kind of digital experience that our parishioners are able to tap into, to benefit from. So we keep those things going, for the foreseeable future. And when we do return to our sanctuary, we will we'll also keep this online engagement going, because it is, it felt like a stopgap measure at the time, but it is really sort of the burgeoning way of community engagement, period. And I think that it's important for faith communities to be a part of this digital way of engagement, and maybe even for faith communities to start thinking about how we innovate the way forward instead of trailing the way forward and when it comes to technology.
Well, thank you very much. Pastor Terrero, are worshipers allowed inside your building at this point, or no?
Yes, we did open to week and a half ago, respecting, of course, the norms. Governor said we can have 50 people inside, and so we did. So we did schedules for the people, and also we're practicing the social distance and having the hand sanitizers and the mask on all the time for those who are seated. The only persons who are masked out are the praising minister when they're singing, of course, and myself when preaching. And then everybody is back to the mask once back to the seats. So we're Hispanics. We love to hug. We love to, to get along and, have our after church time. Those things are limited. So we're not having the fellowship after our services. We're not hugging, we're not kissing each other. So we're trying to make this safe. But our congregants thought, and myself, we thought it was the time to get back to the church, because in our communities, the economic impact was very, very huge. And depression was taking place in our people, and they felt they needed to go back to praise the Lord in the house. And I thought so too. So far, very good.